Sorry, I should have clarified. On a test, I will not have as many sub questions like A, B, C. It will probably be A, B, and maybe C. Okay, so when I say 5 to 7 minutes, I basically mean be able to fill in the chart, come up with the equation, and maybe answer one more thing about it. Okay, so that's basically it. If there's a graph, right, then I would add maybe 2, 3 minutes, so it'd be like a 10-minute ordeal. So that's why I'm waiting a little longer for you to get that done. And so here we go. All right, so I've basically given you a diagram to get you started. The stream runs here, so there's no fence required along this side of the big enclosure. And you want 3 subdivisions, right? So the fencing that you're gonna need, right, to distribute among this this cage that you're making, right? You have 800 meters available, and that would be length, which is right this longer side here from end to end, plus 4 widths. Okay. So what I do is I bring the 4W over to the other side to subtract. So length is 800 minus 4W. Okay. So that would be right. This would be a mark right here just to have this in there. And then I use the length to use this equation to find the length in for each different width, right? So I basically showed you here how I'm using this equation to come up with the length, right? And then area is simply multiplying length and width together, and you get that. Then B, so this would be another mark. So usually this would be a mark, determine the equation relating the length and the area. So I put length in L1, that's my X. I put area in L2, that's the Y. I show the keystrokes. I get this equation, okay? And I know that every single point on this line is going to represent the length and the area. That's just a little note for myself, okay? See what dimensions would result in the maximum area. So when it says dimensions, right, it's plural, it means more than one, right? So in this case, you know that length is 400 what? 400 meters, right? We're talking meters here. And the width is simply going to be area divided by the length, right? And so you get 100, right? And if you think about it, if this is 400 here, right? If this is 400 and each of these is 100, right? 100, 100, 100, that adds up to 800, right? That's how much fencing you have. So that's another way of checking, right? If you got it right or not. So these are the dimensions. That's all I would require you to do to give me. Make sure the units are in there, and that would be it. What's the maximum area? That's D. Let's see if we can fit that in here. And the maximum area is 40,000 square meters. That's also given to me by the vertex. No keystrokes needed here because you're just grabbing it, okay? E, what dimension or dimensions would result in an area of at least 36,800 square meters? So why don't we first graph this, try to make this appear on our calculator, right? Let me zoom in a little bit more so you don't need to see the whole thing. Okay, so if I graph this, by the way, I need to turn on plot 1. I'm just gonna worry about seeing my parabola right now. So I'm gonna go to zoom 9. It's gonna just zoom into those 3, right? Then you're gonna go window -5. I think if I go 1500 here, that should be plenty. I'm gonna go -5 here, But obviously you need to, now we know that the vertex is 40,000. You already did this, by the way, right? I kind of just fast forwarded there. But there it is. So now what dimensions would result in an area of 36,800, right? This is the area along the y-axis. So there are two instances that happens, right? So we're just gonna, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna find this coordinate and that coordinate. So y2 is equal to 36,800. Second, trace 5. That's the first order of business, right? And so I get 286.86 36,800. That's my first coordinate, right? That's this one right here. Okay, if I were to go second trace 5, I'm just going to do that because I did it on the side and I want to make sure. Yeah, okay. And then the second one is going to be 513.14 36,800. Okay, so that's there. So what am I looking at here? Well, there are two instances. So this, if I had a length of this, I would have an area of at least 36,800. On the other hand, right, if I had these dimensions, a length of this, I would also be 36,800 or bigger, right? So here, this gives me length is 286.86 meters, and width is just going to be 36,800 divided by 286.86. So width is going to be 128.29 if you round it. So there's this combo. These dimensions would give you 36, at least 36, right? And then here you get length is 513.14 meters. My width would be 36,800. I don't need this right now. Divided by 513.14. Okay, so my width here, by the way, like for all of them, the two variables that you determined, like these two variables up here on your chart, like in this case it's length and width, even if you're using the equation of length and width, you can find, length and area, you can find the width by just knowing that it's the product of the two that give you this in the first place, right? So there's the length and the width, the length and the width. So these are the instances where you get at least 36,000 or more, anything in between, right? Anything in between these, anything in between these. Okay. State the restrictions on the domain and range. You need to find the x-intercept. So for domain, it's going to be 0 and then the x-intercept. So I found the x-intercept. Sorry, you're not seeing it. My bad. The x-intercept, right? Second trace 5. And the x-intercept is 800, 0. Okay? So 800 is the maximum x value. For the range, you're talking area here. This would be 0 to the maximum area, which is 40,000. That's your domain and range. And then we're going to graph this. So 0, 0. This would be 200, 400, 600, 800. And we're going to make sure this is length in meters. And up here we have area in square meters. And we have 800 zeros here. The maximum is at 400 and we need to account for, so I'm going to go up by 10,000. Okay, 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, 40,000. Okay. 400 and 400, 40,000, I mean. There it is. And there's your graph.
Mr. Clarkson?
Yeah.
So basically for domain, it'll always be the x-intercept and range will always be the y-intercept of the vertex, right?
I would not use the word always. I would say most of the time. And you will see why in a bit, because this isn't a good example, but sometimes something gets thrown off the balcony, right? Thrown up and it lands somewhere, right? If it lands somewhere, the action stops there. So it would not be the x-intercept, it would be wherever the action stops. But in general, for the most part, when you're hitting the ground, right, like it's the x-intercept, yes. But not always. I don't want to use that word. Okay, sorry if you're not done yet, I will post this, okay? I just want to make sure I get through a couple. So the next one is this one here. So let's see if you can do that one. So you work through this. Remember, I will give you so don't write this down for now, just try to answer. Maybe make a little chart, right, where you're going to do this. You're still recording. Oh, yeah. Just gonna have to send. And I will post the answer key to the rest of these questions later this evening. So this is for you to review. So just focus on the equation right now, on the vertex, being able to come up with a domain and range, and also being able to graph, right? Like those are the main things right now that you want to focus on. So here is the key that I have, okay? So this should be your table here. The price is decreasing by 25 cents. The rolls are going up by 2 every time that happens, okay? And your equation should look like this. Note that this is comparing the rolls and the profit, so it should be rolls and profit, or else you'll get a different equation, okay? The equation looks different. The other one is negative 8x squared plus 50x if you use the price, okay? The maximum profit is found by obviously finding the vertex, which is 78.13 is the maximum profit. D, how many rolls are you expect to sell? Make sure you always use whole units in a question like this, right? Because it's the number of items, right? You can't have decimals. So it just happens to round to 25. What price would you be charging at that maximum revenue? Well, you have these two, right? So to get the price, you just go profit divided by rolls, and it's 313 per roll. Okay. F is going to be a little, that one is tricky. We don't have enough time, but what I did is I went back and put the price into L1 and the profit into L2, came up with a new equation. Then when second trace 1, x is equal to 3, because now you're doing, this is price and profit, right? So now you know what the profit will be at that price. Okay. And then you can now, what price would give you a profit of 38 bucks? You find the intersection. How many rolls it says? Sorry, so I went back to the original equation, the one we found in B. I went y2 is equal to 38, that's the profit. So the first intersection is 7.08. You can't have decimals, so 7 rolls or 43 rolls. It's supposed to be whole units there, so that's the only thing that works. Okay. And before the buzzer goes here, you can look back at the video, I'll post it. H, what price will result in the company breaking even? Well, if you use that this equation, right, you get 50, but that's rolls, right, at 50 rolls. So you need to find the price using this equation down here, which I haven't done, so don't worry about this, okay? The domain and range based on the original, I will not on a test switch back and forth when it comes to your equations, but you need to understand what's happening, okay? For the domain and range, I just went by this, and that's what you get. And the graph I will post later on. Continue because it goes through all the types, and I will post that maybe even as a video. Okay, I might just record myself making the answer key and post that as a video as well as the PDF, so you can kind of review for tomorrow's quiz. Okay, so tomorrow's quiz is going to have all 4 types. Work through this worksheet. Make sure your study sheet is solid. Make sure you have enough. Okay, sorry. My L2 has disappeared. Okay, you got to go stat and then setup editor, enter, and hit enter again. It comes back. Okay. All right, so that is it for today. Ran out of time. Thank you guys. See you tomorrow, and make sure you're ready for the quiz. Okay. Okay. See ya. Bye.